Good morning, sisters and brothers. It's Tuesday, so this must be, of course, Tuesday Tune-Up. This morning I want to give you a little opportunity to check into one of the more foundational parts of who and what we are. It's a reading from Exodus that I want to share with you. See if any of this rings a bell. Then God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work. You, your son or daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, but rested on the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox, or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. By now, I hope you've recognized that these are God's 10 commandments. They should sound familiar to you, but I want to ask you this morning, how often do we really think about them? I suspect that you're probably looking at your shoes right now, as the answer, well, at least for me anyway, is probably not as often as I should. Well, let's go through them. Let's get the easy ones out of the way first, okay? You shall not murder. I think personally this one makes a great deal of sense, and I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that we'll try to keep that one, right? You shall not steal. Well, that too is one we can agree on, unless you're in Congress, but that's a different story. And most of us can say that we uphold that one as well. You shall not commit adultery. I think that we all know that one, and despite what you might see on HBO and Netflix, this is one we should work to uphold. Honor your father and mother. Well, even if your parents are somewhat less than perfect, this is one that does make sense, for it is about showing respect for those who came before and remembering where we come from. The rest, well, they get a bit murkier, don't they? You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God. Oops. That one may be the most broken of all the commandments, right? I mean, think about it. How many times a day does that one slip through your lips? We all do it, even your clergy. But if you stop and think about the meaning behind it, friends, using God's name as a swear is the polar opposite of its meaning, and it profanes the love that God has for us. So can we agree right here and now to try not to do that? Let's make that deal. You try, and so will I. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Okay, on this one you're thinking, I got that. No problem. Well, not so fast. Should we take a look? This is broadcast on Facebook, my friends, and so should we scroll back a little bit through your posts? That just got a little uncomfortable. Or maybe we should listen while you gossip a bit with your friends. Ouch. That too might be a little challenging. You see, bearing false witness is not only limited to court proceedings, it also includes anything that we say about someone behind their back. And if you look at it from that perspective, this commandment gets a great deal harder, doesn't it? Well, while we're talking about our neighbor, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, or wife, or belongings. Oops, there's another tough one. I think it is safe to say, probably part of the human experience, that we have all looked at our neighbor with envy from time to time, haven't we? But this commandment really isn't about our neighbor. It's really more about ourselves. It's a reminder that we should keep our focus not on our neighbor's blessings, but on our own. For each of us has indeed been blessed by God with life, and being thankful for what we have will keep us in a clearer relationship with God. Well, if you're sitting here keeping score, we have discussed 7 of them thus far. The remaining 3 are these. I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol. And the final is, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. I think we can probably take those as a package deal, right? At least for the purposes of this conversation. These 3 are clearly about our relationship with God and the place that God has in our lives. And again, you might be thinking, okay, I got this one. I know God is God, and I don't have some golden idol stuffed into my closet at home. I come to church most Sundays, more or less, so I got these 3 in the bag, right? Well, perhaps, but let me give you something else to think about. I read an interesting book a while back that said, we worship what we love. We worship what we love. Well, you say, okay, I still got this one. I'm actually watching this message, and I do come to church on a semi-regular basis, or at least I tune in online, so that's got to mean I'm on track, right? I got you on this one, Rick. Let me ask you, though. First of all, those are good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dissuade you. Those are good things. Those are steps in the right direction. But I want to ask, in addition to that, think about this. What else do you worship? What else do you worship? Jesus tells us where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So where is it, friends, that we put our heart? Now, we spend maybe an hour a week at the church, but where do you invest your heart on the other 6 days and 23 hours? Do you engross yourself in work? Do you spend your time looking at your phone, social media? Do you anesthetize yourself from the challenges of the world in alcohol or drugs or sex or food? Maybe it's binge watching TV on Netflix. I know during COVID we all did a lot more of that than was probably healthy for us. You may not have a golden calf in your closet, but we do indeed create idols all the time, and they can be just as distracting to our lives and our relationship with God. So I ask again, where is your heart? That's really what these commandments are about. God reminds us that we are called to invest our heart in Him because God invests His heart in us. Each one of us, every single one of us, is beloved of God, and God holds us in God's heart. That, friends, that's the true power of the 10 Commandments. They're not really restrictions intended to make our lives difficult. No, instead, they are instructions on how we should live our lives in a way that reminds us who we are, but ever so much more importantly, whose we are. So this morning, I commend you to ponder God's law. See how you're doing and check in to see where your heart is. And if you find that your heart isn't completely in the right place, that's okay, because there's a way through that. Turn back to God. Bring that to God and ask God to come into your heart and help you to get back on track. For sisters and brothers, God is always ready to help you come home.